What's up, YouTube? This is my first tutorial since a long time. I'm excited for it, and what better way to do it than starting with an uptempo kick. So there's a lot of tutorials out there, but I figured there was a lot of information missing to get that perfect result. You know, some of them lack low end, some of them lack the crunch. So I'm trying to combine everything into one comprehensive tutorial. So this is the only tutorial you'll ever need for uptempo bouncy kicks. We're gonna do Zag kicks another time, but for now we're gonna focus on the bouncy uptempo kicks, which is fairly easy to make. It's only one serum layer, a few stock plugins, and that's it. So we're gonna talk about what is an uptempo bouncy kick, how to create an uptempo bouncy kick, the mistakes you're making and other tutorials are making with uptempo kicks, and how to polish it to make it sound, you know, loud, a lot of low end, professional. So without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, welcome to the project. This is a very simple project. I'll explain to you how I did it. Currently the uptempo kick sounds like this. Pretty good if you ask me. It's split up in two layers, two serum layers, and I'll explain later why. First, let's dive into it. What is an uptempo bouncy kick? An uptempo bouncy kick is a very distorted kick with the second part, so the tail is like ducking, so it's a vom, 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 that creates that drive to it. If you compare it to like a hardstyle kick, it would be like a reverse hardstyle kick, but overly distorted. All right, so the way you achieve that is by putting a lot of distortion on it, of course, but you have to find the right peak. So you have to find the right peak in the EQ, and then you distort it. So let's stick to the basics here first. The uptempo hardcore kick sounds like this with all the effects off. Reminds me of old school gabber times. I'll dive into the chain first, but let's see how we can create a kick like this. Okay. Well, first of all, what you should immediately do. You know what? I'm just going to start from scratch. Insert serum. All right. Serum has 2 oscillators. 3 if you count the sub. What you want to do, first of all, you want to change it to an oscillator. You want to change the oscillator to a sinus waveform. Why? Because a sinus waveform has the most low end, and when you distort it, it will create that distorted kick effect. If you're going to put a saw layer on it, there will be no low end, and the distortion will sound different. Not something you want to do on a uptempo hardcore kick. So let's do that first. Oscillator A, we're working with oscillator A. Put that on an analog. All right, so now it's on a regular sinus wave. SEN is sinus. All right, let's find the key. Put it on G2. I like that. All right, it's just complete bass at this point. All right, next up, you want to create that extra punch. Now it's just a wall of bass, so you want to tell the oscillator, hey, I want you to move in a certain direction, and to create that sub punch, you know, to enhance that sub punch. The way you do that is you're going to use oscillator A, and you're going to put it on the matrix on LFO1, and you'll put it on, not volume A, I don't know why it's there, global master tune. So listen to this. Sounds weird, right? So what it does now is the oscillator A, LFO1, this one right here, this movement is being put on the master tune. The master tune is the pitch, so it indicates the tone height or how low it will go. So it's moving the pitch. So let's say, okay, I want that sub punch a little bit more excessive. Let's see what we have here. Just play around with it until you hear like, okay, that sounds good. Sure. If you can hear it well because you don't have the right equipment, honestly, turn on the distortion. Let's put it on a new channel. Turn on the distortion. And I think you can hear it a little bit better. Crank it up. You can also do it in serum, whatever you prefer. Okay. So now if you play with the LFO, it's more clear what you're doing. See, so you're changing the pitch. Therefore, you're changing the punch of the low end. And you can even more change it here in the... Let's just stick to this for now. All right, next up, we're gonna EQ peak boost. So what we're doing is we're gonna put the distortion later because I want to boost the EQ first. So we have the EQ here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click, you can do it with Parametric EQ too, and just boost it really high and see which peak sounds good. Yeah, I was on a wrong octave, my bad. So I put it up an octave higher. So now it sounds like this. I'm like, wow, that sounds really low. Okay, now it sounds to start like an old school hardcore kick, which is good. And you can play around with the pitch, with the EQ boost here a little bit. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna add a filter to Serum. Let's see what happens if we just click on the filter. I want a band pass filter, and I'll explain to you why. Band pass, 24 bands. Where are you? Hello? Am I that blind? Here we go. Okay, let's crank up the drive, which is kind of the distortion. Okay, so what I did here, I turned up the drive, which is the amount, and I turned down the mix, because if it's oversteering too much, if there's too much distortion, you will lose all the character, all the low end. So I turned down the mix, which is the blend, and then you can clearly hear it opening up, and you have some low end too. So what this filter does is essentially if this is basically what we did with the EQ. This is just an on top of it. Find the right spot that sounds good to you. Whatever works for you. Okay, we're getting there. Now the most important part, and then that's we're gonna ask oscillator B, which is gonna be responsible for the tail. Okay, which preset are we gonna use? I used who, and let's see how it sounds now. Okay, sounds more hardcore by the minute. Oh, microphone, stay. All right. Now what we want to do is tell Serum, like, hey, I want that tail to fade, create that reverse effect, okay? The way you do that is like that, okay? And then it's not going to do anything because you didn't put the LFO onto something. You can click and drag the LFO onto any button you like. And in this case, it's going to be the level, because that will indicate the volume. So you're going to put it on the level and see what happens. All right, now you can already hear the bouncy uptempo kick coming to life, right? Okay, now we're gonna polish it. Okay, what else can we do? Well, you can change the knobs here. You can also play in the matrix if you like that. Okay, starting to sound really nice. All right, what else can we do? Can we maybe get it better by changing the peaks in the filter, or can we change it better by using Fab filter? We'll see. Maybe both. Let's listen. Old school vibes. All right, let's change the Fab filter. Not bad. I feel like the punch can use a little bit more, need to be a little bit more prominent. So I'm gonna just turn it up here. Let's see what happens. Not bad. All right, let's see what we can do to get that effect even better. Maybe play with the master tune. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I was gonna go for a little bit of a higher pitch, but all right. Let's go back to a higher pitch. Sounds a little bit better, right? All right. What else can we do to make this a little bit better? We can play with the tail, but I feel like the punch needs a little bit work. Let's see what happens here. If you don't like much punch, then this is a perfect kick for you. I like it to have a little bit more punch. Anyway, you can just do this accordingly to whatever you want, okay? So I ended up with this kick. Without the effects, of course. With the effects on, it will sound like this. Don't forget, I didn't do any processing on the other one. So basically what I did here, if you compare it to the other one, let's see, can we open up two? No, that doesn't work. Okay, let me look at the filter, blah, 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 blah. I mean, basically everything is the same. Just play around with the filter a little bit more. Look at the matrix, alpha 1, B, okay. What did I do here? LFO3 on A. So I put an LFO3 on A, which is this one. So, okay, so I played a little bit more with the punch. You can do that. And again, this is the one without the low end. Well, there's still a little bit of low end. Okay. And then again, if I want to change this kick, I'll do the same thing. I'll go to the EQ boost and change this peak. It will sound even better when I turn the low end back on. No? So, yeah. Alright, you're just acting weird right now. Ignore the phasing issues. But yeah, honestly, it's super easy to create kicks like this. You have to play around with the peaks. Let it be the filter or let it be the EQ boost. Okay, now let me explain to you what I did with the FX chain, because that's also very important. Okay, so as described, I did an EQ boost. What does that do? You boost a certain frequency and then it goes through the distortion. You get that effect, okay? If you, let's say, switch it up, you just distortion and then you EQ boost, the result will be completely different. It will sound like this. That's not what you want. So the trick is to EQ boost it first and then distort it. Okay, after that, I did some corrections. I removed a little bit of rumble under the 20 hertz with a linear phase on it. What does that do? Keep in mind that most sound systems only go so low. Let's say it's 25, 30 hertz. So all the frequencies under that, you don't need that. So that's why I got rid of it. I put a little dip here because kicks, hardstyle, uptempo tend to resonate a lot in this frequency. Well, if you listen to this, that's the resonation. I want to get rid of that a little bit. Without it, it sounds like this. A little bit more boomy. I like it a little bit more clean. A little bit more room for the low end. So that's a great tip I would give everyone working with kicks. Okay, so we have the EQ boost, we have the distortion, we have the corrections, a little bit more high end here. I was checking the amount of lufs for this kick. Loud enough. That could imply that there's no low end going on. Well, that's correct, but I removed that later, and we're gonna come to that right now. So why did I remove the low end? Okay, well, I want you to listen to this. Okay. Okay, there's low end, right? But now, compare that to this. Way more, and I'll tell you why. And this is a common mistake everyone does. Well, not everyone, but usually the beginners. When you distort a kick drum, hardstyle, raw style, hardcore, whatever, you also distort the low end. And guess what? When you distort the low end, you sacrifice the low end. So therefore, whatever you do, processing kicks, always add a clean low end layer. So the easiest way to do that is honestly just to clone it. So that's what I did. I cloned the serum layer, kept the same sound, and where is it? Here we go. The low end is, like I said, it's the same as that, but I just cut off the frequencies, the high frequencies, I cut it off. So it's just bass. So now I have the sound where I put a automation. I put an automation on the low end. Why did I put an automation on the low end? I don't want to completely remove the low end. I want to keep that punch a little bit. So here is that automation clip. There's a little bit of room here for the punch. It's barely noticeable. If you play it, I don't even think you can hear it. It's just a nice touch to it. So yeah, I left a little bit of room for that sub punch. What I did forget to mention is that I put a little bit of a fade into the wall of bass to make room for that punch. So in a perfect scenario, you would render the wall of bass and the sound of the kick, and you will blend it perfectly together so that the two low ends are not stacking on top of each other. I have a great subwoofer, so I can hear it pretty well. If you don't have the equipment, I would suggest rendering it and then work with automations on the volume, or make an EQ and then a low cut so it perfectly crosses. So that's a common mistake a lot of people do, is that they work from one serum layer and they're gonna distort it, and then it ends up all messy. And it will sound good, but there's no low end, so it lacks that bass. So you always want to add that clean low end to it. All right, so I think that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys liked it. This is the first YouTube tutorial, so I'm experimenting a little bit with what's good and how to, roll with it. If you like this video and if you learned something about it, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment if you like. Then again, with this tutorial, I think if you understand the basic fundamentals of music production, it is super easy to make a bouncy uptempo kick. A lot of tutorials are going to tell you the quick way to do it. I'm trying to explain to you why you need to twist certain knobs and what it does. And I hope that helps you. And also good news, if you made it through this video, I want to give you the opportunity to pre-save the ultimate uptempo hardcore producer program that I'm working on. It will be released around November is the idea, and it's going to be a complete program. I already launched the successful 14-day hardstyle producer program and the raw style, the ultimate program. I've got hundreds of students. They're all very satisfied. So my next project is the artist development plan. I'm currently working on that. But you can also start pre-saving if you're interested in the ultimate Uptempo hardcore producer program, where just like this, I'm gonna, you know, it's not a quick fix. It's about you understanding how to produce the music. So it's not quick, but it's gonna get you to the next level. And especially if you're new to music production, this is gonna be a great program. Thank you all so much, and catch you to the next one.